Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Being Smart. I'm your host, Augustia. And today I want to dive into a topic that's a bit different from what we actually usually discuss. It's about Chinese entrepreneurs, how much I respect them, but also how worried I sometimes feel for them. This episode may challenge the way many of you think about what it means to be a business owner in China. A theme of today's shows is entrepreneurs are not as really wealthy or profitable as you might think. When you hear the word entrepreneur, most of you immediately think successful, powerful, and rich. But reality, especially in China, is much more complicated. We also need to draw a distinction between entrepreneurs and startup founders. Particularly in the cities like Shenzhen, there used to be this whole myth that you could simply walk in with a flashy PowerPoint, pitch to investors, and raise a few million. And then, boom, you're rich. Some people even joked the moment a founder got the first round of funding, they went out and bought a car and a house. And yes, we all heard the stories about the internet companies going public, stock options maintained the millionaires, and the founder achieving so-called financial freedom. But that's just one side of things. It's not a full picture. This is something deeply Chinese. For a private owned company, the founders isn't just a boss. Employees literally look to you as a compass, a flag, and a guidepost. If you don't lead, the company collapses. At state owned enterprises, the leaders are often more distant from the grassroots, just due to the size and bureaucracy. But for someone like the private entrepreneurs, everything revolves around him and his personal drive, his leadership, and his presence. Zhengfei is more systematic. He knows that no single leaders can hold everything together forever. So he built a process and mechanisms inside of Huawei to ensure the company could keep operating even if he steps back. And that's his philosophy. Leadership should ultimately rest on an institutional framework, not one person. And in the contrast, some leaders' philosophy was he himself must personally push things forward. And different entrepreneurs, different philosophies. Neither is right or wrong, just different ways of carrying the responsibility. Take the TCL, for example, a major appliance maker from Guangdong. Their founders didn't necessarily talk about carrying a heavy burden. Instead, their success came from the riding the tide of globalization and having a strong competitive product strategy. So every entrepreneur has its own unique style, shaped by the personal philosophy, the era they lived in, and the type of products or industries they were in. Another peer worth mentioning is Cao Dewang, the founders of Fuyao glass. I read his biography. His journey was different. The Fuyao's growth relied heavily on bringing in a foreign glass technology and then localizing it within China. Compared to him, the Ren Zhengfei leaned more on the in-house R&D. The Cao Dewang stories was about the adapting and negotiating, importing the tech while consistently dealing with government regulations in a market that didn't yet fully value the private enterprises. So again, the different paths, the different challenges, different leadership personnel. Think about it. Say your company employs 10,000 people, and that's 10,000 families whose livelihoods depend on you. A real entrepreneur doesn't just do it for personal wealth, they carry that kind of responsibility. People often envy whoever is China's richest persons in the given year, but the reality is a title comes with endless scrutiny. The government agencies watched every transaction and every tax filing and every public statement. The competitors, investors, and the media, all they are watching you. Ironically, many of the so-called the richest men don't actually keep much cash for them, and their fortunes is tied up in the company, in assets, in stock value. And sometimes their personal disposable income is actually less than that of some of their mid-level employees. And meanwhile, their phone is blowing up 24 hours, 7 days with work messages, crisis decisions to make, and they don't really get personal time. So when you see the headline, China's richest man, understand it's often more of a burden than a blessing. So at the end of the day, being an entrepreneur in China isn't just about quick riches. It's about building the products people trust, sustaining the company through the end ups and downs, feeding thousands of families, and in many cases, literally helping push the country's economy forward. The first generation of private entrepreneurs in China, they weren't just building companies for themselves. They were just part of the massive transformation of China since 1978 transform and open up. And that's why I believe they deserve deep respect. And because in the end, entrepreneurship wasn't just about running a company, it's about carrying the responsibility for industry, regions, and even the livelihood of many countless ordinary people. They did it not with flashy gimmicks, but with real products, real strategies, and real endurance. There aren't many left of that old generation. So I think we should hold on to a sense of respect and gratitude for them because they really weren't just chasing money. They built things that changed China. Okay, all right, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, take care. Bye.